Hey, MMA fans, welcome back to Carlo Perusa MMA. Today, I am joined with professional 3-0 mixed martial artist. He is Mr. Sedric Louissaint, and he is back in action on Saturday. He's fighting down in Kissimmee, Florida on Combat Night. He's taking on Lamar Brown in the co-main event. Cedric, we're just a few days away here. You get a fight kind of close to Orlando, still in the area, in a building that you've had success and have won at in the past. What's the mindset and the mentality like, knowing that you're just a few days out from running the battle?
Just the mindset really right now is focused on just showcasing my skill set and just being confident in who I am and my talents, and just letting it hang, go out there and have some fun. Finishing this weight cut. Once I'm done with this weight cut, that's really the first half of the battle. Then the rest is all fun. But that's really it. That's really what's on my mind. Just focus on having fun and showcasing my skill set. Been working hard with my coaches, in a lot of different areas, and I'm ready to showcase that talent to the world.
You've been in the world of combat sports for a while. I mean, your earliest registered amateur MMA contests come from as long as 2014. And I think so many people watch the sport in this day and age, but I think very few realize 15, 20 years ago, this was the wild, wild west in some places, some promotions, wasn't legal everywhere. Do you have any stories, maybe personal ones that you've been through, ones that you've seen, of the early days of unsafe fighting conditions, mystery opponents, bad medicals, anything wild?
Man, I got stories for days. Before I even had my first amateur official contest, man, I was doing street fights with people I went to high school with, and was selling tickets to people at the school to fights for mutual combat at my buddy AJ's house. So I got some pretty good stories in that realm. But as far as when I first did my first official amateur bout, it was really the wild, wild west. It was a career path that I knew that, hey, this is something you got to do to have fun. Like the money aspect of it's a very tough dog eats dog world. The MMA world isn't for everybody, man. You lose 2 to 3 and your stock is basically null and void.
Why did you decide to get into mixed martial arts? What drew you to wanting to compete and fight professionally?
Honestly, it's just I knew I was going to have that regret. I was sitting on the couch for about 5 years. I started my amateur career after high school. I didn't end up going to college for wrestling. I wrestled in high school. My mom, kind of kept me back and didn't want me to go and get into super depth just to wrestle, which I'm very thankful for now. I ended up changing pathways and finding my way in the technology field, specifically within cybersecurity. And while I was just working in the field, I'm still a fight fan. I'm watching all these fights. And I'm like, I feel like I got it. I know I don't want to be that guy who's just sitting on the couch talking about, oh, I could do this, do that, and just sit there and I didn't want to have regrets growing up either. I was sitting on the couch for quite some time, dealing with some injuries and just other life stuff. And I finally got my shit together and, started, taking it serious, and to the point where, like, I know I can do this.
When you first got into this, did you ever think that mixed martial arts could blow up and become as big as what it is right now?
Oh, yeah. My first fight, this is going to sound crazy, but my very first fight that I ever saw, I was scrolling cable TV. I landed on Spike, and it was the Forrest Griffin and Stephan Bonner fight. I saw that fight, and I got hooked onto the UFC, and I've been a fan ever since. I knew the sport was going to be basically the NFL of combat sports. At least that's how I feel. And the UFC has done a great job with building up their fighters and establishing a platform for them.
Over the years that we've seen the emergence of some great fighters, I mean, the skill level has greatly improved. Another thing that's greatly improved is the training. Obviously, the technology is there. And now you have world-class gyms with a bunch of killers. And we're talking about Fusion Excel, definitely is one of them. A gym that you do a lot of training at, a gym that is full of UFC guys. Phil Rowe, Lucas Alexander, Mike Davis, Spar Nicholson used to be in the UFC. I mean, just a plethora of tons of great talent, up-and-coming talent, solidified talent, Hall of Famers and Leona Machida. I mean, everything you want is at that gym. How did you first start training there?
So I had saw the Fusion XL team. You know, I saw the kind of camaraderie that they had and the environment they had at one of the fight shows before I got back in the competition, like 4 years ago. And then I reached out to Julian Williams, the head coach, on Instagram, and I was like, "Hey, man, I want to come train, man. I like what you guys doing over there. You know, and I really feel like it'd be a good environment for me as well." You know, and he was like, "You'll be a great fighter, man. Just come on and put the work in." And I've been there ever since. So I'm very thankful, you know, with open arms that he welcomed me into the gym, and I cross trained there and at Dark Wolf MMA, and I feel like that's been like the formula that I've needed.
You know, you made your professional MMA debut a couple years ago in the Spur Arena in Kissimmee, Florida, and you got to do it on one of Jorge Masvidal's Icon FC cards. Now, that's when we met. I got to watch your fight. If I remember correctly, you put on an absolutely dominant performance. You picked up a great victory. What was that moment like for you?
Man, it was surreal. It was like everything that I've been working towards finally coming to fruition. You know, that fight, I got it on 2 weeks' notice. I was supposed to be the feeder for Mussolini, you know, Bo Nichols, boxing coach, whatever, national boxing champion, etc. And you know, I knew it was going to be a challenge, but I knew I've been preparing, and I knew my team and the killers I'm training with. These guys are not seeing me. They're not seeing me. My mentality is I'm unbreakable. And I'm ready. When I get in that cage, I'm ready for a fight. I'm ready for a freaking war. I'm ready to dog fight it out to the very end. When I get in that cage, I know there's a possibility that one of us may not leave. We signed a contract stating so. So like when I got that victory, it felt so sweet and surreal. And I'm like, I'm here now. Now it's time. This is only the beginning. It's time to keep this going.
You know, you had a great night that night, but your training partner, one of your good friends, Christian Louissaint, he also had a wonderful night that night. He ended up being the main event, kind of like a last-minute thing, picked up a huge victory. That place was absolutely packed with Dark Wolf people, a lot of supporters for both of you. What was that moment like to be able to share that with him?
It was amazing. It's surreal. I feel like it was another bonding moment for us. You know, not only for Christian and I, but our other teammates, because you know we both cross train at Fusion XL, so we had support from both sides of the house. Just feeling that energy, that roar, man. You were there, man. You saw Jorge Masvidal. He had to stand up and look around. And he seen like, dang, these guys is really showing out.
You know, following that contest, did you get to chop it up with Jorge Masvidal at all after the fight?
Yeah, I got to talk to him briefly after the fight. You know, it's good. Tell me, good performance. He actually relayed to a couple other friends of mine as well that got to spend some more time with him afterwards, and mention my name and how he want to have me back out. But most definitely, I'm very appreciative of the platform that, you know, he put on and allowed me to be a part of, and definitely would like to be a part of it again sometime in the future if it's in the cards.
You know, so many people watch the UFC in this day and age. So many people watch the PFL. And I think one thing, you know, they see from watching is the fame, the glory, the spotlight. These guys are making millions of dollars. But I think very few people realize to get to that point, you know, it is a grind. It is a hustle and bustle. You're not making millions of dollars.
Yep.
A lot of guys have kids. A lot of guys have full-time jobs. Pretty sure you might meet both of those. They have to make the time to get punched in the face. You know, going to training becomes exhaustive, but the only way for them to achieve their dream is to keep pushing and do it. How do you get through these sacrifices, man?
Just remembering my why, man. You know, the first and foremost, my why is I fight for fun. You know, I've achieved financial freedom through my cybersecurity career, and I use that to fund the investment of my MMA career. Because again, like how you said it, you know, not only are you investing the time and energy, but it's also money on these camps. You know, the gas, travel back and forth to the gyms, your coaching, training, fees, all that good stuff, recovery. But it's remembering my why. It's just one, it's for fun. Two, I believe in myself, and I believe I could be one of the best in the world. And when I stop believing that, then that's when I'll hang it up.
You know, from covering the sport for a couple of years now, one thing that I've learned, unfortunately, is there's a dark side of fighting. You know, you see guys fall victim to this. They kind of put all their eggs in one basket. They kind of get trapped in the fight game. You know, it turns out for some of them that, you know, if they win, if they lose, that affects how much money they're going to have. That affects how much you're kids are going to eat. You're a guy who has made money in other avenues than fighting. I'd love to talk about your cybersecurity career a little bit. I know you've developed like a school or a curriculum where you even teach people how to get into it. So talk to me about this a little bit. What exactly do you do in the cybersecurity world, man?
Yeah, so I do a little bit of everything. Cybersecurity is like the medical field. This is what I like to explain to people. It's a very vast field. There's so many different niches within the cybersecurity field that you can choose to specialize in, and you can build a whole career out of. I specialize in ethical hacking, breaking into systems, networks, and applications, buildings, all that good stuff, as well as digital forensics and engineering. So those are the things I have the most fun with in cybersecurity and what I deal with on a day-to-day basis. But primarily, I'm consulting people on their problems that they're having within the cybersecurity realm, whether they just got hacked and they need to recover, figure out how bad did they get hacked, what did the attacker get, what did they get access to, things along those lines, as well as engineering solutions for hackers to not be able to take advantage of networks and applications. Or I'm simulating adversaries and acting as an attacker and attacking a company and figuring out where their holes are and telling them where their holes are and telling them how to fix it. So that's primarily what I do on a day-to-day basis. What a business that I've started and I've built since last year is a cybersecurity mentorship and training program, because I've been in the industry for quite some time now, and I see a lot of people who are trying to break into the field or who are in the field that get laid off or they're unsuccessful breaking into the field for several different reasons. And I cover a lot of these reasons in our curriculum, as well as the actual core skill sets and the specific skill sets that individuals needs for the specific career path that they want to go down. So with our cybersecurity mentorship and training program, we provide basically it's personalized mentorship and tailored training to specifically what that person wants to do with their life, what you want to do with your career, what are you actually interested in. So then we work together to develop a curriculum that's tailored around that job role and make sure you get trained up and be competent and qualified and certified for that specific job role. And then we help you get employed in the actual field.
What are some of the reactions when your peers in the cybersecurity world figure out that you're also a professional fighter?
That's most of the time they always think I'm playing around until I send them a video, or they think I'm kidding, because I'm a nerd at heart, right? And most per se, the preconceived notion of people when they think of a nerd or a computer geek is that they're not athletic, not coordinated, etc. And I like to break that stigma. And my colleagues, they are actually very, very supportive of me. They want to see me make it to the big show. They give me the time that I need to dedicate to my training. So that's one thing I love about cybersecurity, is because you're not treated as just a number in most cases. In most organizations, you're actually treated like a human being.
In this day and age, the sport has changed so much where I feel like just because you're a good fighter, it's almost not good enough. Personality is something. And I think the emergence of social media is something that's so important as well for you guys to start building your brand, start marketing yourselves on an online platform. I know one of your teammates, Beast Boy Mike Davis, he's really good at this. But having the background in technology and being able to, do stuff like editing and work some computer softwares, do you think that has helped you maybe create more of an online presence for your fighting game and better allow you to branch out and get more eyeballs on yourself?
I feel like in a sense, yes, but the social media marketing and getting your brand out there, it's a whole different realm. And I've had to learn that myself, because I've had to figure out like how could I apply my tech background into the social media space, and the way that I would apply, the problems that I solve in cyber versus developing content for social media is completely different. But I would say it has helped me out, but it's a completely different niche in itself. Another teammate of mine that's getting really good at that is JP Too Much St. Louis, actually wearing his shirt right now. He's been putting out some fire content, and that's the type of content that I'm going to be trying to model after, him, Mike, and some other people in the space to help build the brand. But they're definitely paving the way, and I'm taking notes.
All right, let's get on to the fight on Saturday. So you're taking Lamar Brown. You're fighting once again for Combat Night. This time, you get the co-main event spot. Your teammate Angel, he's main eventing it. What do you think of Lamar as an opponent?
So what I think of him as an opponent, I honestly think that I'm gonna get the first round finish. If we stand up, I'm gonna knock him out. If we go to the ground, it's gonna end in a submission or a TKO on the ground. That's exactly what I think. I think Lamar is definitely a formidable opponent. His last fight was in the PFL. Didn't go too well for him. He's going to be coming out hard to try to make a statement and get back in the W column. So I could sense the type of energy he's going to be coming with, but I'm going to put that flame out quickly. And even if I just happen not to get the first round finish, I'm telling you right now, we're going to be in for a fight.
One thing I figured out about you right away is you're a very well-rounded fighter. I mean, you realize to be successful in this day and age, if you want to go to the UFC, if you want to go to the big show, you can't really have any deficits. You need to be proficient up top with striking, and you got to be able to hand yourself on the ground. Does that just come from training at Fusion? Is that something that you found or realized early in your career? How did you develop that?
So early, it actually goes back to my boxing roots. Back in high school, I was boxing and wrestling. And then after high school, I started doing kickboxing and then jiu-jitsu at 19 years old. So I had already built my base in boxing and wrestling. So I kind of had that on my belt. So once I got into kickboxing and jiu-jitsu, I saw where my holes were in my game. And I've been training in jiu-jitsu ever since then. It's been 10 plus years basically now. And I finally feel like I'm well-rounded in all of those different areas. And that confidence of knowing that I've spent years of wrestling, years of boxing, years of kickboxing, working Muay Thai, working my jiu-jitsu. I'm very confident in anywhere we go in the fight. I don't care if I get taken down. You better be ready to defend against the 3-4 submissions I'm going to throw at you right away. So I'm very confident anywhere the fight goes. I could fight off my back. I can fight on top. I can fight standing up, wherever.
Were you pretty pumped up when Mitch told you that you were going to be the co-main event for this one?
Oh, man. Mitch didn't even tell me. I had found out. My wife came in right in here. I was sitting in this chair. My wife came in here. She's like, I see you, Mr. Co-main event, because I was bothering them. I was like, yo, it's been some time, man. I've been putting on some shows. Like, can I get a fight? Can I get a co-main event or main event? Because if Angel wasn't fighting, I was rooting for that main event. I was like, I got to get that main event if Angel's not defending his belt. But once I did find out, I was so excited. I got another adrenaline rush, I would say, another level of energy, and just some more motivation, more fire, more what do they say, gasoline to the fire per se.
Combat Night, one of those very good promotions in Florida. If you're on the regional professional scene, if you're an amateur just starting out, it's a great promotion. Tons and tons of Fusion Excel guys have been on that. But what's so special about that promotion? Why have they had this run, and why do guys continue to want to fight for them?
Because it's a different environment. It's not like these other promotions where, again, you're kind of just treated like a number. And you're treated like just like any other fighter. Like Combat Night, I truly do feel cares about their fighters. They try to build up their fighters. They're given equal opportunities on both sides. They're not trying to give you super easy fights. They want you to actually be ready. So when you make it to that big scene, like Ramon or Parsons and Lucas and all these other guys, that you actually are able to step up to the occasion, that you've been built up properly. Not only that, Mitch as a promoter and owner, he really does show that he cares. And, it's not like one of those turn and burn kind of things. Like I feel like some of these other promotions are doing. I don't want to go too much in the weeds, but yeah.
The last time you were out in action was a little far ago. It was about 9 months ago or so. What were some of the reasons for the long layoff coming to this one?
Yeah, man. It was tough, man. I dislocated both my shoulders shortly after my fight in a training incident. I was going with a new training partner last round of the night. He just went for he was just spazzing out kind of and posted my arm in a position, and I dislocated my shoulder, popped right out the socket, slight tear in my AC. and whatnot. So I was rehabbing that for some time. I was gonna fight in March, and then I dislocated my other shoulder, and it was completely my fault. I went for a move that I shouldn't have went for, and gravity and physics took over, and so I was injured from there as well. And it's been a long road of rehabbing and getting my body back right. But I'm finally I feel like everything happens for a reason, because I feel even better now. I've just been sitting in the lab, just working on all the little fine details. And man, right now I feel like I'm unstoppable.
Injuries, unfortunately, something that, almost all fighters will run into in their career. One of your training partners, Mike Beast Boy Davis, unfortunately, it happened to him. He's getting ready to fight Drew Dober, big injury. When you see stuff like that in training camp, do you feel for them? Like when that happens, do you feel bad?
Oh yeah, I definitely feel for him, man, because it's like you're like your goals and your dreams are getting put on hold. Like you just feel like it's a setback. As someone who's been in that position, I definitely feel for any other fighter who gets injured and is out long term, because injuries is just something that's just a part of the game. You're always going to go into fights with some sort of injuries, little nicks here and there, never really at 100%, but definitely those that take you out and put you on the sideline for 6 months plus. It's definitely a toll that it takes, not only on your body, but your mental as well.
One thing that I think is really cool about Fusion Excel, when I was there, I think it was in January, one thing that I noticed on Saturdays, it's a very family environment. A lot of the fighters bring their kids to the gym. I think your son was there with you. What is that like? I mean, do you get some extra motivation of having your son at practice with you?
Not really per se extra motivation. He's just playing with the other kids and just enjoying the family camaraderie at the gym per se. But I'm always thinking about my family every time I'm tired, and I feel like sometimes maybe if I want to, take it a little bit light, I think about them, and I always get that kind of the extra source of motivation. They're part of my why as well. But definitely just being able to bring my kid to that environment and know that my kid he's good, he's enjoying himself, he's having fun, he doesn't feel miserable. And that definitely does help with the journey, because I'm constantly living in the gym, so that means my kid is too.
Now, what's the ultimate goal for you, Cedric? I know you do this for fun, but is the UFCs, is the big shows, is that what you're chasing?
Exactly, I'm chasing that UFC goal. That's the ultimate goal. I want Dana to wrap that strap around my waist.
With a win this weekend, you're going to be a 4-0 fighter. We've seen your teammate, Val Woodburn. He went straight from Combat Night 7-0 to one of the biggest fight shows in the world, to facing one of the biggest prospects, been Bo Nickel, to having Donald Trump watch him fight. Do you think you're close with the win over your opponent?
Man, I would hope. I hope so, but if it's in the cards for me, well, after my performance on Saturday, then it is what it is. But the mission is still going to be the same. Whether or not I don't get that call now, I'm going to get hit back to the drawing board, see what I could do to optimize and refine my performance and skill set, and keep trucking along every day until I reach that goal.
At your gym right now, obviously we talked about the UFC guys in there, but there's also so many good regional pro guys. You have Angel, your teammate Angel, Bubba Sheffel, I think JP, if I'm not mistaken his name wrong, he's just won a Combat Night. You have more. Would you be surprised or not surprised at all in another year or two you guys have like 15 UFC fighters in that gym?
Oh, definitely not surprised. Like I feel like we're gonna end up having more and continuing to build up. You got Donovan, Angel, Jeremiah, JP. Those are the next 4 guys I see making it to the UFC out the gym. That's just off the top of the head. There's more guys definitely, and Bubba, as like you said, Bubba as well. Those 5 guys right there, I feel like they're leading the way, leading the charge. On the next wave of guys that should either be on the Contender Series or should be getting a call for a late notice, short notice fight to get up on that stage.
All right, Cedric, last question for you, my man. In a perfect world, what is the outcome when you take on Lamar Brown Saturday in Kissimmee when you make your return to the Combatagon?
If this is a perfect world, what would happen in my performance is, I'm gonna come out there and show up and show out, just like my name. You know, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna show up, show out, get the finish. I'm looking to get the finish in the first round. I'm not gonna rush it. If I don't get it in the first round, I'll get it in some round. But perfect world for me is just getting that finish. It doesn't matter if it's the first, second, or third.
All right, Cedric. Well, I wish you nothing but the best. Look forward to watching you get back in the cage and fight again, my man.
Thank you, Carlo. Appreciate you having me on.
That's it for now. That's Cedric Show Up, Show Out Louissaint. I'm Carlo Prusa. Stick around.